Capricorn, welcome to your June 2017 love reading for single people. Now, this is a new feature of mine. I am trying it out. I can't say if I'll keep it. And it doesn't really matter if I get a lot of views even for the reading compared to my other videos, if it does very well that way. It has to feel like it's not redundant with my other love readings, because I want there to be a fresh angle. If there's not, then I don't feel comfortable doing them. And so far, with the other signs that I have done, the experiment seems to be a little bit of a mixed bag, I would say, because when I think about some of the themes that are very important to people who are, let's say, in a marriage that is struggling and they're thinking of leaving, they really are not much different than that of a single person, because the word single simply means that you are not engaged or married. It does not imply that you are not seeing somebody, at least not, my definition of it. So it's not like all of you are out there are monks and you're just being let loose, in public, and you're finding somebody for the first time. You may have a history of dating. You may even be divorced. But the point is that you are not officially attached to somebody. And so maybe it's just a matter of conscious effort with one set of love readings to incorporate people in your position with the people that are in actual marriages or other types of long-term relationships, because some of the themes, like this is the overall theme for your month, Capricorn. 8 of Cups, leaving what no longer serves you. And it's, what does this mean? Well, even with a single person, I would say, did you leave a relationship recently? And you made that choice based on, for some reason, that was like on the emotional level, on the spiritual level. Okay? Because this can also be about going on a spiritual quest. Perhaps you left somebody who was also of the water element, Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. And maybe your emotional natures did not mesh well. Maybe that person expected too much from you. I feel that you get along very well with water signs in general. But as an earth sign, you may get accused by water signs of being too dry, too unemotional, too detached. And you could end up playing a game with people where it's like, how can I prove that I love you? And you end up buying them things instead of being able to really show them emotionally when it doesn't come easy to you. It's not how you're wired. And yes, I am broad brushing. Some of you may have a lot of Pisces or whatever, and you might say I'm crazy. So it's just a generalization. But if you found yourself in that situation, you may have finally decided to break it off, and now you're free and clear. It could have even been a marriage, it could have been anything. Why? This is the card of self-empowerment. So the best way to put it is understanding that you had the ability to do it. If it was, if it was a marriage or a long-term relationship, that can be very difficult. Especially for Capricorn, especially a marriage, because you tend to be very duty-bound to people. And, if you had a family and things like that. Now look at this. What does that look like to you? An 8, right? And I said the 8 of Cups. So the number 8 is funny, because this is actually the infinity symbol above his head. But the 8 refers, the 8th house in astrology is Scorpio. One of Scorpio's rulers is Pluto, and I don't know if the 8 connects to Pluto. I have to check that out. But the 8 is a very powerful number. And it also can deal with, in numerology, the number 8 deals with even worldly success, business acumen. And this is definitely what I associate with Capricorn. So being empowered for you can be something to do with your career also, where you feel a sense of the ability to really make things happen in that realm. But you may not feel that way when it comes to your private life. You may feel a little bit awkward in your private life, like you can't make things happen the way you would like to make them happen. And so if that's how you feel, something inside of you shifted at some point recently, and maybe you applied the same attitude towards career matters, towards your love life, where you see it as a proactive thing rather than, just like the sense of tradition or duty implies that we have to do certain things because that's the way society accepts us. And the magician is represented in the major arcana by the number 1. So it's all about putting yourself first, not in a selfish way, but in a way that is about self-actualization. Selfishness is more easily represented by this card, which is the Devil card, and is connected to Capricorn and your ruler Saturn, Satan, Saturn. And what does that imply? Well, the thing that you have to watch out for now, I think overall, and this could even imply, this could even relate to your career, is that you don't ever become covetous of things like your status, which is very much in the forefront of the mind of the average Capricorn individual. Your status, your place in the world, because you rule the 10th house of career. And that's at the top of the chart. So there's that public image of who I am, and becoming a victim of your own success, being very materialistic, keeping up with the Joneses, and trying to justify your existence through your accomplishments. What can happen is that you may find that any relationship that you get into, if you become a workaholic or anything like that, which is easy for a Capricorn person to do, you could suffer in your relationship. And what often happens is, as represented by the 8 of Cups, is that you discover that you're not a good match to that person in general. Maybe you didn't really realize it until it was too late. And so it's a very interesting dilemma, because I think that some of you are really stepping into your own power, but that Devil card is hanging around and saying, whoa, Nelly, don't go too far ahead of yourself here. You're starting to really, and this is that Plutonian influence that is taking over in terms of Pluto being in Capricorn in your own sign. There's a long-term transit, and I've spoken about this before, and you've probably, if you listen to astrologers on YouTube, you probably have heard about this. And it's going to be Pluto's going to be in Capricorn until 2023. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And because of this, you have to accept your transformation. It's like accepting your assignment. And the best way to accept it for a cardinal sign like Capricorn is to go with the flow, is to not try to resist very startling changes that can happen that really unnerve you because you feel like it hasn't always been this way. And you're right, it hasn't. And this is true for us as a collective because we're seeing this in the world as a whole. And this is the Pluto and Capricorn influence. You know, old structures are being torn down. And for some people, like I am a Sagittarius, that doesn't feel that scary. That feels liberating. But for somebody like you or your opposite sign Cancer, it can feel like a threat. It can feel like, you know, only people of a certain age probably, and maybe in America, will understand this, but it'll feel like Mayberry is disappearing. And, you know, from the Andy Griffith Show. And it was like that very bizarre netherworld, or alternative universe is probably a better way of putting it. You know, where you had this idyllic community, probably based in North Carolina, in a small town, and everybody was white, and everybody, you know, everything was perfectly calm at a time when there were growing societal tensions. And, you know, this is also reflected in Leave It to Beaver. You know, these are shows from the same era. And it was probably done by design. It was probably done to kind of keep that old, you know, keep the old guard up of, you know, instead of, you know, honoring the differences that were occurring, or the, you know, the push for a change in society. It was keeping that old guard up. And, you know, that can be comforting, though, escapism, when there's a lot going on in real life. So I'm not saying it was just some communist plot, but it probably had multiple purposes, but one of them might have been to comfort people because there was a lot of uncertainty that was cropping up. You know, everything wasn't hunky-dory, so to speak. So the same thing applies for your life. You know, you may want to have a very stable and prosperous life, and you may want to have a career that you can really invest in, and you have to still have an inner power, and that's what the Magician is all about, and that also includes your relationships. So, as the higher message, and I think this is very good because this is about spirituality, the Queen of Cups is a double feminine energy. You're a feminine sign because you're an earth sign. And so you have that, because you're an earth sign, you have that connection to nature. And you see that the word nurture and nature are very similar because there's that sense of, it's an internal energy. It's like, it's nurturing somebody. Being a mother is not aggressive. I mean, it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be healing. And this is a card of a healer. This is a card of a mother. A queen is a mother. So as the higher message, the spiritual message, this is a psychic energy. So it's about tapping into that part of you that is not concerned with having more in a physical sense, having more status, having more money in the bank, but in the finer things in life, meaning, you know, finer, not meaning, you know, Tiffany, but meaning vibration. The things that last. You can't take one penny with you when you leave this earth. So, I was just having a little friendly debate on YouTube about insurance. And insurance, you can't, people, I think at the root of insurance is that they want to not die. And yes, insurance may be very important, and maybe, you know, actually the law where you are, but not placing too much faith in outer things, okay? And having like a hidden agenda where you think that insurance is going to protect you against all pain in life. Insurance has its own charms, if you will, or its own advantages, but we still live in this world, and it's a temporary world. And the Queen of Cups is about tapping into that which is infinite, which is represented by the magician's symbol of the infinity sign. And, you know, the magician has some material objects on his table. Because, you know, manifesting is about bringing things down into the 3D reality. I'm not saying that at all. But to always see that there is a spiritual source. Never lose sight of that, because then that's when the devil steps in and starts running the show. And for your life as a person looking for love, you do have to tap into what the cups represent, which is the feeling, your feeling nature. This may be very threatening and difficult for you. Because you're Capricorn, and because personal planets can be very close to your sign, you may have Mercury in Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius, and you may, and the moon can be in any sign, and depending on what sign your moon is, your emotional nature, you may not be it may kind of enhance that detachment. And so it may make you uncomfortable to share your emotions. And some Capricorns can come across as very cold because of this. And it's something that you can't be who you're not. I mean, you have to be who you are. You can't pretend to be something you're not. But you can learn how to open up more if you feel a sense of blockage. And that's what the Queen of Cups is. Maybe Reiki, maybe, you know, shamanic healing. What crosses you is the King of Cups. This can be a water sign male. Could be a person who is an authority. Could be your father, you know. Some of you may have unhealed wounds that relate to your fathers, where this was an insensitive man. If you're a woman who is interested in men, you may project that difficult relationship onto men. And you may choose men who are like this man, like your father, who are very, what would I say? Well, I was going to say cold, but who never show you love, who never accept you emotionally. Who are very critical of you, make you think that you're not good enough, and leave you in the cold emotionally. This can be a very cruel person, a person who mocks you, a person who is totally emotionally abusive. Okay, this could be an ex, the father of your child, but somebody who is interfering with your ability to attract love. When I do private readings and I look at somebody's natal chart, a lot of times I can see similar things going on. Until these things are addressed, and sometimes addressed doesn't mean years in therapy. It can merely mean, look, this is in your chart. And the person goes, wow, you know, that's true. That's how I've never gotten over my father's rejection of me. And this could be even a rejection. Rejection could be death. You may have erroneously thought that your father was rejecting you by dying as a child. And that's to me, you know, that rips my heart out, because children are not rational creatures. They haven't been on earth long enough to be able to really understand things like death. And if their remaining parent is in grief or is otherwise not enlightened enough, conscious enough to really deal with the death in a good way, in a positive way, it can be one of those situations where they never talk about it again, and then you're left with this, you know, creating this narrative of why the person died. That is not true. And, you know, to me, it's just so heartbreaking. Because this does happen. We know it happens. And, you know, I just want to hug everyone who's ever, you know, dealt with that. Just anybody who tries to make you feel less than. This person can be. But usually will be a male who is, unless it's a female water sign with maybe some fire energy, some masculine traits in her. It could possibly be that, I suppose. And if you're dealing with somebody like that, the thing is that you need to realize that. And then you can see that this person is a toxic influence and possibly distance yourself from them if possible. Because the reason I say that is because a person like this, like it might even be the father is still alive, and you see your father as a sense of duty, and this person is constantly tearing down your sense of self and creating lowering your vibration so that you don't, either attract negative partners or you don't feel worthy of attracting a partner. What may be coming in, this could be advice, is represented by the Five of Wands. I think, above all, in this context, it means getting into the fray. If there is someone in your life, could be a father, could be the father of your child, or just an ex who won't let you go, is giving you crap, the best thing you can do is stand up for yourself and not... and that standing up for yourself doesn't mean starting a war. It means putting your foot down, not allowing this person to step all over you. Having that confidence, that assertiveness, to not be a doormat if you have found yourself in that position for some reason. It's right out of the Magician card. This card is a card of conflict. So because of that, it means that you may have been avoiding conflict. And you may have been trying to, for some reason, you may have been trying to avoid the inevitable. The other thing that this card can simply mean is you just need to go out there and, brave the jungle of dating. And, there's a lot of people there, and it's all fire energy. So it's like a jousting match where everybody's vying for position. And you may be shy, Capricorns do tend to be shy, and you hide. I would say you hide behind your competence, okay, your success, and that becomes your shield. But you're still not necessarily the kind to walk into a room and try to have attention put on you, unless you have Leo rising or something like that, where you can kind of give off the rather false impression that you are the life of the party, when you're actually a quite serious person. So there's nothing wrong. We can't have everybody be the same, or be very annoying, because everybody would be trying to, there has to be an audience for these extroverted types, or they would be just talking to themselves. So it could also mean that a fire sign person is coming into your life. I would assume it would be more of an Aries, because Aries is this combative type of an energy, being ruled by Mars. So, but the other fire signs, by the way, are Leo and Sagittarius. And the outcome is the Page of Swords. I think you're going to be very discerning about who you get involved with, and that may go back to a past relationship. Maybe you have a bit of scars from a past relationship, and now you're really, thinking things through. Pages can be about messages. So it can be about people, you could be in contact with somebody who is a potential partner as well, and that person could be under the sign of an air sign, like a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. Out of the three, I would put my money on Libra. And this could be an internet connection too, because of the message connection. So that's always possible. You might be talking to somebody that way. But regardless, the Page of Swords can be a card related to, you know, doing a covert op, you know, spying on something to try to see, maybe you've met somebody, but you're not sure if you trust what they're saying about themselves, and you look, let's look at their social media accounts and let's see what they're doing. So in other words, it implies that you're going to have a little bit more caution. You're not going to necessarily jump into anything. It's very interesting. I don't know how many of you resonate with this, but I just wanted to try this out. And if you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have an awesome June, you Capricorn singles. Bye.